What up, Flint Tropics Nation? We are back for another Legacy Leagues post-game show. And because the playoffs are here, because the big games are here, I had to bring in the big guns, the two GOATs. I mean, if there was a Mount Rushmore of Legacy Leagues analysts, personalities, characters, they'd be on it. But Chris, you first, and then Connor, just chime in whenever you want. Chris, how we doing? How we feeling? Your old team took a big L.
Well, I'm gonna start off with a little lunch. I got a 20-piece nugget and some Yaga barbecue sauce because they got blown out. Um, Safe to say, they might be missing me a little bit, but we won't go there. Yeah, there's really not much to talk about from this game, honestly. Flint came in and kind of was just hitting wide open threes. Matt Fink was busting Mike Davis's ass. As we saw. But honestly, for Yaga, only Mike and Jelly showed up. No, Pratt was out there looking around. Nobody was really playing defense. TJ got held to 8 points. I, I don't know. There's just something off with this team. I don't know if they took Flint lightly, but I don't think I mean, they've been watching them all season. Flint was just kind of getting backdoor cuts, wide open threes, and they did their thing, as Greg always says. I mean, they only really played four guys and kind of just ran them out of the gym like that. I guess you could say Eric Langston was missing. I mean, that's a huge piece in the league and legacy history. But I don't know how much. I mean, to be honest, how much would have that helped on the defensive side? You know what I mean? He might have given them a little more offense, but I guess having another big body in the middle would have helped. But yeah, I think I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this 20 piece while we'll let Connor go.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So Chris told me he had a little surprise for me coming into this postgame show. I had no idea what it was. The barbecue chicken, the 20-piece McNugget. Man, Chris is doing some nasty work on a Saturday morning here. Yeah, dude, that game was crazy. Matt Fink, we always talk about it. I remember there was a game last year between Get Money and Run TMC, and I think Get Money started chirping Reggie late in the game after the game was sealed. And, there was like words being said about like, you can't talk shit after the game is basically over. Like, if you're going to talk shit, start talking shit early in the game, right? Fink and the Flint Tropics went up early, and he looked over at the Yaga bench, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm not quoting this word for word, but he basically looked over at them and said, I thought y'all said that you were going to double me, like, and you're not doing a good job at it. Like, because he was going crazy. And the second he said that, TJ got up off the bench immediately. He runs over to the scorer's table. He goes, yo, I'm coming in right now. Hell nah. He goes, hell nah. That ain't happening. I'm like, oh my God. I think Matt might have just woken up a beast. Like, this could be bad now for the Flint Tropics. And, Greg came over at halftime and he was like, dude, what do you think about this game? Because at that point, Flint was up big. And I said, Yaga's going to come back, dude. They're going to make this game, close. And, right at the start of the third quarter, that lead got chopped from, 15 or 17 points or whatever it was. And it was a 5-point game. And you can tell Flint was starting to get a little bit on edge. Yaga was starting to get a lot of that energy. And then Flint just went on another one of those runs. And you could tell it just, took the wind right out of the Yagaville sails because they were not able to come back. And you got to give Matt a lot of credit, man. He was chirping early. And he was, confident in his team, his ability to win that game. He was unstoppable. Mike Pizzuto was hitting all of his threes. He was getting great looks from Matt all game long. And Yagaville was trying all these different looks on Matt. They tried Pratt on him. They tried Mike on him. And honestly, Mike, there was a possession where Mike played like 20 seconds of the best defense I've ever seen Mike Davis play on defense. Like, he was locked in, guarding the ball, closing out on the shots, forcing Matt to work left to right. Next thing you know, Matt just turns around, this little layup, little over the top hook shot on Mike, easy basket. And you look over at Mike, and Mike's like, "Damn, I just played my heart out on the defensive end," which a lot of people don't give me credit for, and it didn't even work for nothing. So then they tried double teaming him, and Matt is a true guard. He's got the behind the back passing, and he was dotting up on backdoor cuts, finding Bizzuto wide open for three. Quan was going crazy. Quan, we got to find that dunk. If they had that dunk, throw that on the podcast right now because
It's a top play. It's a top play this
it's
week.
got to be up there, man. That was one of the craziest dunks I've ever seen. He was so we've seen a couple of these in legacy leagues. I kind of use the reference a lot, but that Blake Griffin dunk we all remember when he was literally hanging in the air for so long. He like threw the ball through the hoop. That was basically what Quan did, and it was like in traffic. He had a great game. But yeah, just an all-around team performance. Obviously, it's going to be a regular season game that Yaga's going to quickly forget about. They're getting ready for the postseason right now, so we'll talk about the bracket in a little bit. But there's definitely a good chance these teams are going to be playing again against each other for all the marbles in a few weeks. So, yeah, for Yagaville, man, they got it out of there early, man. They ended that game. Pratt came over to the scorers table. He slammed the button down for the horn, and I'm like looking at the score. I'm like, yo, they still got 90 seconds left, and Yagaville's like already dapping up in the middle of the court, like getting the hell out of there. They started the buses early. That's crazy. I did not expect a game like that. I expected to come down to the wire, never mind end early. So, hey, this rematch, if a potential rematch, has got a lot of storylines to look forward to.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. That was a big game, and I just want to give a shout out to Jelly. Jelly was phenomenal out there. He really, without him, he's been to a few games this year, and he was huge for them this game. He played great, and I think he's someone they're going to really need to play well going forward. But hey, shout out my guys, the Flint Tropics. I said I'd bring the Henny back, and
yes, Henny Reg, let's go, baby.
That's what we do in Flint Nation, baby. Let me just take a second. Back in the days when Rudzinski was playing and when the Plumbers were playing, the real men are playing now. And that's what the Flint Tropics are doing. And Yagaville. Yagaville's a good team. Let's not get twisted. We got the GOAT, Mike Davis. And we're not talking Wizard. This is not Wizards Jordan. This is Mike Davis, like prime Mike Davis, just taking it to them. Jelly, nasty. Dave Armstrong, filthy. And my Flint boys just did their job. So I just want to give a shout out to them, seriously. I really think Matt Fink and I think Mike Bizzuto, but Pat Drury. Can we give a shout out to 33 double three out there? He played a great game, and it's not easy when you're playing these Yaga boys because, they're as tough as they come, and there's a different type of toughness that you need to beat a team like Yagaville. And shout out my Flint boys. Chris, I'm going to let you get one last word about this game. You got anything else you want to say? Yagaville, Flint.
I think they'll play again in the playoffs in the championship. But if you do remember, I think it was winter 19. Not the same Flint team, not the same Yaga team, obviously, but it was Mike and Pratt. Flint had beaten them by like 4 or 5 points in the regular season, and then they blew it in the semis. So we've never seen Flint close out an undefeated season before. It's not the same teams. It's same guys, some of the same guys. I don't expect that to happen, but anything could happen. I could see them kind of looking forward to playing each other again and sleeping on like a Reggie or a KD but I'm curious to see the rematch with Eric Langston playing. And I think you guys will both agree with this. I think the key in the rematch for Yagaville, I think, is Pratt. I think Pratt has to come out. I think he has to be the leader that Pratt is. Has to bring some energy, talk some shit, and I think that is the key for Yag. It's not Mike. It's not Jelly. You know what I mean? Pratt's got to set the tone, and these guys play better when Pratt is playing well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Chris. That's actually, Pratt, win or lose, Yagaville, whoever, Shocker, whatever team plays best when I feel like Pratt's just being himself out there. And that's kind of what they need. But, we'll see these two teams again. I think we all agree. We're all saying we expect to see these two again. But let's get on to the next game and someone who could see Yagaville in the semifinals, and that is NLMB. I'm going to give a quick shout out to NLMB. And then, there's really not much to say about this team except what a season for them. They finished the year 6-2, same record as Yagaville. Imagine before the year I told you that would happen. What else is there to say about this team? They're deep. James Harrington is so underrated. I keep saying it. Andrew Murray has turned into Chris. He's the guy that's always playing with the AirPod.
AirPod Drew.
He's balling out there. He had 47. He dropped 47. So I'm gonna go to Chris, then Connor. Chris. It could be quick, could be long. It's up to you. Just NLMB, man. Shout out them.
I mean, when your only two losses are to Flint and Yagaville, it's not can't really be mad at yourself. They beat all the teams they were supposed to, and they played close with Yagaville. And I think was this the team that played? They played Flint first game, and they were kind of down by like 30, 40 points at halftime, and they made it a. And they only ended up losing by like 13.
They lost by 11. They lost by 11.
I think I was texting you guys because I think I said, "Oh, Flint plus 40 or something, or minus 40 was the spread," and they didn't cover.
They lost to Yaga only by 4 too.
Yaga does that. Yaga tends to play down to their comp sometimes. Obviously in their first season as a team, 6-2. It's not the same. I mean, it's kind of the same record as Yagaville, but there's an asterisk on Yaga's 6-2.
True.
But I don't think you want to see them in the playoffs. I think they'll come out, and I think they'll end up playing Yaga second round. And I think that'll be a battle.
Yeah.
Connor, NLMB, you want to give him some flowers?
Yeah, I heard that AirPod story. Greg told me that story that this dude was balling out in an AirPod earlier this week, and I was cracking up. I guess we heard that one through Greg or through Chris. So shout out Chris, our legacy insider. Man, that's funny because he was doing some serious business out there. He was taking some calls out there, doing a 40 piece. Chris, you gotta get another 20 piece McNugget. Put that on the screen for the 40 ball Andrew Murray dropped in this game. That was crazy. And I like about this game is that Dante Hodge was kind of quiet. You know, we've been saying Dante. It's between him and Bizzuto, who really been like the best 2 3-point shooters this season. They've been going like neck and neck. Their numbers are crazy from beyond the arc. And Dante was only 2 for 10 from 3. He was okay from the field. And he was 38%, so right around the 40% range. But 16 points, kind of a quiet night for Dante. Hey, if that was me, I'd be like my best Legacy Leagues game ever. So like I would take it in a second. But for a guy like Dante, who's one of the top All-Stars, one of the best shooters in the league, came out there, didn't play good, or for his standard, didn't play good. And they go out there and they took care of business. It was never even a close game. FD, we talk about these guys a lot. They got guys that be putting up numbers. They just can't find a way to put stops together. And when you play a good team like NLMB, you're kind of you're toast. Let's be real. But yeah, NLMB, this is kind of a tune-up game for them more than it was anything else. They got a very exciting semifinals matchup coming up here. So I like this team, man. A lot of potential. I like that little stat you brought up, Greg, with the same record as Yaga. I know Yaga technically had a loss that was more due to regulation stuff than it was the actual game. But nonetheless, we're looking at the standings. They're right there with Yagaville, which is interesting. But yeah, I like this team, man. A gritty team with a lot of potential, and they're gonna live and die by the 3-ball, man. If Hodge can go 8 for 13, like we've seen him do in some of these games, or something like along those lines for a performance from 3, like this team could beat anybody, man. This team could beat anybody. But if he has a game like that against one of the better teams, I think it was good he got this game out of the way, right? Get that out of your system because it's more than likely not going to happen again for the rest of the season. So I like their chances, man. And Andrew Murray was, kind of a late addition to this team, right? Like the 3-4 week mark he joined them, and ever since then they've been a different team. It's a different dynamic now. They got that that inside punisher. He can go to the hole and really put it down on guys. And then you got Dante and Christian, who wasn't even there this week too. So and Speedy's really good. And Alex Willis had a great game. I like this team.
I got something else to add real quick. I just want to shout out to FD Ballers. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, Greg's been through this too. It's tough to be at the bottom of the league. I just respect them for showing up. And I mean, you go 0-8. It's tough to probably get motivated to even go to the games every week. Because we've seen teams quit this league. We've seen teams forfeit because they don't want to play. But this team showed up to all 8 games, played their hearts out, and I just got to give some respect because we don't really give shout outs to the lower end teams a lot on this show, but I just think we should shout these guys out, give them a pat on the back for just showing up every week.
They look like they're having fun too. Like they don't play with their heads down, like they be getting killed and they still be laughing and creating the fun plays for themselves and having some alley oops and sharing some laughs. So I agree with that take. It's good, definitely good. Even though they're at the bottom, they show up every week. They have fun. They play ball, and that's all we can ask for.
Yeah, and also I think it's easy fix for FD ballers. If you go to the team stats and you just sort it by 3 points made, that's pretty much the standings this year. And you got to hit threes in legacy leagues, and they only made 43s the whole year. Just for reference, I made 43s almost in the season, and I'm ass. So FD, you guys they have great stats. Otherwise, they're a great rebounding team. Obviously, they missed a lot of shots probably, so that's why they have more rebounds. But I mean, they have fixable. Their points scored aren't that far off from Get Money. It's about 20 more points from Get Money on the year, and they all played the same team. So I just think that FD's got some fixable things. Just find some 3-point shooters because I like how tall they are. They're some big boys, and I mean, I like John. His name is. He's a fucking beast, and FD, keep your head up. I just think if you can find some 3-point shooters, they'll be good. They can figure something out.
Hey, Greg, did we ever find out what FD stands for? I know you were trying to say fire department week 1.
We did, but I don't know if I can say it.
I don't know if it's right, but I told it to Greg, and Greg's like, "Yo, that's definitely it." Is it pod material, Greg? You can decide, my host.
You can text me on the side if you have to.
Yeah, I know I've gone rogue before. I don't know if I want to say that on post game, but speaking of going rogue, we got Run TMC going rogue, and a lot of people thought Joey Zacco was going rogue when he put this team together this year. But Run TMC did close the season out strong, winning 107-62 against Team YOLO. And if you look at the standings, TMC finished 4-4. They're the only team to finish 500 on the year. They'll be the 4 seed playing the 5 seed. Lord's Army, who we'll talk about in the next game. But Run TMC, I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there. Connor, Chris, either one of you. What do we think of this Run TMC team? They're the defending champions.
I think they're a first round exit. I think they got their Mickey Mouse ring out of the way last season. I think this is just they lost Eric Langston. That was pretty much the reason why they won. But we'll shout out. So Miles Ring had 40 and was 8. He didn't miss a shot. I saw some of this game, but I didn't realize he didn't miss a shot.
That's good.
Yeah.
18 for 18.
He can get hot.
Holy crap. I just took me a second. I was like, oh my God. And Will Hudson, here we go with Will Hudson in 2025 again, dropping 23 points.
Shout out Will.
I love all these guys. I love all these guys.
Yeah.
I played with Will at an in-sports league back in the day. Will's been in Legacy forever.
Yeah.
It's a good week for Run TMC when Reggie only has 16 points.
Yeah.
And they win by 40. But where's Eric Singleton been? Dante Abate hasn't been coming. What's up with these guys not coming to these games?
Yeah, no,
it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to miss games, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's not a cheap league.
It's a good question.
Yeah. Chad McCoy is basically Shaquille O'Neal in this league. He's not gonna shoot threes, but I don't want to get in his way in the paint. I don't know about you guys. I would I feel like if Chad was coming at me, I feel like I'd get out of the way.
Yeah, no, there's no shot. No shot I'm letting Chad dunk on me.
Yeah.
I ended up on Chad. That was because something went wrong on defense, and there was a switch that shouldn't have happened. Then after he slams it on my head, you scream at your big man, "Yo, what the fuck?" And that's the only reason why I was guarding Chad.
That's one of those I'd get out of the way and let Scave take him.
Exactly.
Just let me move out of the way. But no, I mean, going away from other take, Run TMC, I mean, a lot of moving pieces from last year. They brought back a lot of pieces, but to go 4-4 with kind of a new constructed roster is, I mean, you can't take it away from Reggie and the guys. Realistically, I think they'll be playing Flint in the semis. I mean, I did say they'd be a first round exit, but I see them playing. Who are they matched up against?
They're going to be playing Lord's Army.
Be a good game.
Yeah.
Should be. I mean, it should be a good one.
Oh, Rico wasn't there. It's a Mickey Mouse dub. It doesn't count.
All right, Connor. What do you think about the Run TMC season?
Oh man, it's Mickey Mouse everywhere for Run TMC on Chris's end today. That's wild, but yeah, dude, that's hysterical. I didn't notice that Miles Raymond game. Miles had a 50 burger last year too in a game. We can't forget that. He's capable. I think he had a really good week a few weeks ago, too. He had like a 30-something point game. That might have been the same game Will went off, too. And Chris started chirping Will, and Will came up to me and was like, yo, you got to tell Chris that bullshit podcast he put out last week, and he was going crazy. I was laughing so hard. But, yo, shout out Will Hudson. I didn't even think Will listened to these, so Will's listening. Yo, shout out to you, Will. Will hooked me up with a free bowl at Chipotle like a few years ago. Love you, Will. Always remember. But anyways, yeah, this game was a fun game. I mean, TMC, obviously without Reggie really putting up like a crazy stat line, it was cool to see, some of these other guys shine. And yeah, YOLO, man, no Rico, no Rico, no chance. That's the motto with Team YOLO, man. But this guy Jamar Petty deserves some love too. I think I talked about him a few weeks ago. He's a one-trick pony, and nobody can stop it. It's like the tush push. Shout out to the Super Bowl. You know what he's doing, and you can't stop it. This guy just goes to the rack, and it's crazy. Like people, I don't know what it is. He's got like decent size, a decent speed, but like nothing that like jumps off the page at you. He's like deceptively strong, and he's got long arms, and he'll like take his 2 steps, and next thing you know, he's at the rim and he's throwing it down or getting a layup. There's really not much to his game, but the people that are trying to defend him can't stop him. So shout out to Jamar Petty getting work done this year for Team YOLO, putting up a big stat line, 27 points in the loss, but he was out there doing his thing. But yeah, YOLO, same thing as FD Ballers. This was a free agent team this year, and we haven't really had a lot of those in the Connecticut League over the years. I know that some of the other leagues have experimented with free agent rosters as Joey was getting those leagues off the ground. But yeah, that's tough because the Connecticut League is, it's been around for a very long time. A lot of these teams have been playing together for years, and you would bring a roster together. You guys have never played a game before. What, they win a few games, which honestly, that's good for them in a tough league like this. And they competed hard every week. They showed up every week, and they had some really good individual performances throughout the year. And just another team you can tell they never play with their heads down. They never gave up, just like FD. So, shout out to Team YOLO.
Yeah, shout out YOLO. Talk to me, Chris. What?
So I'm just looking at this again. Assuming the stats are correct, Run TMC shot 83% from the field for this whole game.
That's insane.
So I'm not gonna throw anybody in the bus. I'm gonna assume the stats are good. But yeah, like Connor just said, shout out Team YOLO. Yeah. I think this is the first free agent team in Connecticut. I don't think there had ever been one.
I think so.
We didn't usually have problems getting teams for the.
Yeah.
Because what he had like 25 teams one season when
I think the 20. Never forget.
It was our first year.
Intern year. Intern year. Yeah.
Bad boy season.
But
yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting team. But no, Run TMC is just probably, I'd say it's the same as like NLMB or Get Money. You don't want to see Reggie in the playoffs because if he gets hot, he could beat you by himself. Obviously, if Miles Raymond could score 40, Chad McCoy, but Eric Singleton and Dante have to show up for this team to have like because I mean Dante's one of the more underrated players in the league. I feel like because he'll show up. He doesn't like the stats don't always show up, but he'll rebound, play defense, get blocked. You know what I mean? One of the more gritty guys in the league, and I just wanted to give him a shout out too because it doesn't always show up on the scoreboard stats. That sometimes they'll pull him out because he won't argue. You know what I mean? And just one of those players that it's kind of guy you want to play with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good team guy.
Good team guy.
Great team guy. Speaking of great team guys,
what you got? What do you got, Greg?
Me, great team guy. Great role player. Connor, great role player. And Chris, also a great role player. This is like the role player podcast.
Yeah, I was like Draymond Green, bro. I'll give you a triple single with a couple turnovers. That was my vibe.
Triple single. I'm like, who's the worst player to have like 3 rings? That's me. Probably like kind of like the Jason Tatum type. Or
That's crazy, dude. You know how to go there.
Hey, 3 rings. But speaking of someone who wants a ring, that's Lord's Army and Alex Rivera. Shout out to Sexy Lex, and they took down Get Money 73-60. And I just want to give a shout out to Get Money. They've been going through a lot this season. They've really been fighting, and it was just the kind of the same old same story for them. They just didn't have enough in the end to just take down Lord's Army, especially Lord's Army that had a full team, and Jacob Morales had his best game of the year. And that's what's going to happen when he's playing well and everyone shows up for this team. Lord's Army is phenomenal. So I'll go to you, Chris, and then Connor. Lord's Army, Get Money, but take it wherever you want.
That is true. Lord's Army hasn't really had a full team the whole season.
Yeah.
They finally had, like you said, they pretty much had everybody there. Jacob Morales had a good game. Jaquan Bromwell had a good game. All these guys, it's kind of their big three. I feel like EJ, Jaquan, Jacob. Guess you could throw Sean in there, kind of like a big four. But yeah, Get Money. It's the same old. When you lose one of your, I'll say top three players because I mean those three are pretty much almost on the same level. KD is probably the best player on the team. But when you lose one of the brothers, that really because I mean they made the finals without KD in their first season, and it was really just the brothers against the world. I feel like team really just another team that plays together. But they're all friends. They haven't made really any changes to the roster since the first season. So when you lose one of your better players like that I think he tore his Achilles. I know he got surgery and stuff like that. It's just it's been a tough season for them because of that. I think we would have been talking about them getting ready to match up against Yagaville or Flint to maybe be one of the upset teams getting into the finals if they had all three. But yeah, I think as you saw in this game, it's going to be tough for them to have enough in the end of these games to beat the better teams. Um, and is this going to be a matchup in the playoffs or probably not?
It would have to be in the chip.
Oh, okay. So I wish we could see
Yeah.
this again because I feel like these two teams are pretty evenly matched.
Yeah.
Um, but all in all, it was I mean, one of the better games of the week, one of the closer games of the week, even though it was 13 points, because there were a lot of blowouts this week. But yeah, shout out KD, had a great season. I'd say he's in the MVP conversation. Probably the record is going to hold him back from getting that. But yeah, shout out Lord's Army. Maybe they turn the corner this week and they might go on a little run in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Connor, talk to me. Get Money, your boys, Lord's Army, everyone's boys.
Yeah, I was doing a
What do we
scoreboard on this game, so I got a close up look at the action. I don't want to go too long on it. Obviously, we got some stuff to get into for the playoffs, but one thing I noticed, I talked about it in their post game interview, was Lord's Army in the past, Greg, we've always criticized them, like they just look so out of sorts. It's not a matter of talent, right? It's just like, they got these weird lineups out there at the end of the game, or sometimes they're just like, they're bickering amongst themselves, or they just don't look engaged into the game sometimes. This game was a total 180 on that whole perception that we had on them. They were so locked in, like calling timeouts, getting together, doing like a team huddle with their arms around each other's shoulders, doing like lock in on 3, 1, 2, 3, lock in. Like they were like so like just gelling as a team. I've never seen them that close together. And I asked them about it, and EJ, I got to give him a lot of credit. He even took they were interviewing themselves as a whole team out there. They literally all their guys when I was doing the interview, and I asked them about that. Them gelling as a team lately. And EJ like walks around the back and like steps up and grabs grabs the mic and was like, "I'll answer that question." And it's true because he kind of really did take over that leadership role. Jake's the coach. He does a lot of the game planning. Like he does a lot of like the subs and like calls out the guys to go out there. But EJ was like really like the one who took everybody, under his wing and said, "Listen, like I'm the best player on this team and I'm going to motivate y'all to get the best out of you." And he really did. And you saw them really playing at a higher level because of it. We talked about this Lord's Army team being like the best 1-5 team in Legacy League's history in terms of their talent. And that's definitely, probably a fact. But yeah, that was a great win. Coming on, Get Money has not been beaten easily by a lot of teams this year. Even the best teams in the league have struggled with blowing out Get Money. And honestly, a 13-point win, maybe it's not like a huge blowout, but I mean, that's a very comfortable win. And that's an impressive win for Lord's Army. Kyle Davis did everything he could. We're talking about Kyle Davis, man. I'm not going to lie. I voted for KD as MVP. I might have casted my vote a little bit too early because I voted before this matchup this past week with Fink versus Yagaville, and I might have sold out my pick a little too early. But it's definitely between KD and Fink. An unbelievable season for KD this year. Been doing everything he can for Get Money. It's going to be interesting to see how they can do it. And Chris brings up a good point. I kind of think we look at Get Money like, damn, 2-6. They lost Tyron. Their season's pretty much over, but they're still a fun team. This team did make the finals without KD. You put KD over, to replace Kyron. That's basically, it might be a small improvement, like we mentioned. KD's probably the best player on this team. So there's a way they could figure this out. There's definitely a way they can figure this out. KD's got to get hot early in these games, and he's got to stay hot throughout the entirety of the game. Taishin's got to keep doing his thing. He's been playing a really good number 2 role to KD. Greg, one real quick point I want to mention is I remember you told me earlier in the year that they picked up that kid Kyle Costner. He was on
he's on the box score.
Yeah, he was on a team with a lot of those guys from NLMB last year.
Yeah.
And he could have been a nice piece for them. Obviously, he's going to be ineligible to play in the playoffs, so he's kind of irrelevant. But I'm just mentioning him as a guy that could have been a nice piece because they need another 3-point shooter. Antoine Coles has been shooting the next and most amount of threes outside of Tyron and KD, or Taishin and KD. And they needed just one more guy to kind of sit out there on the perimeter and just, maybe score 9 to 12 points just on all threes per game. That kind of piece to just spread the floor for them. They didn't really have that this year. Outside of Taishin and KD, their best players are those big guys, Tarek and TJ. And Coles does his thing. He's a good role player, but he's been asked to do more than he actually, probably should. And he's been doing a very good job at it, but he's been very efficient, and he's kind of like he's like the vocal piece for them. He'll talk his shit to the other team, and Get Money needs that edge. That's kind of been their MO over the years. So, hey, they're a fun team. They always have been. Those are my boys. I ride with them all the time. It breaks my heart to see Tyron watching these games. I see him it eats him alive when they're not executing plays properly. He just wants to be out there so bad, to fix things up for them. And it breaks my heart that he can't do it. But hopefully he comes back better than ever when he recovers from his injury. But great win for Lord's Army.
Yeah, shout out Lord's Army. And, speaking of the playoffs, that was a great regular season. I want to give all our teams a shout out. But speaking of the playoffs, we got a bracket to go over. And, I kind of think that we think the first round is going to be a pretty straightforward one, boys. So I'm just going to rapid fire Chris and Connor. NLMB, Get Money, first game. Who you got, Chris?
It's tough for me to go against KD. But I think NLMB is one of the better teams in the league. As Connor just kind of said, I think maybe to put more on that, KD would kind of have to go on a Kemba Walker, like a Shabazz playoff run for Get Money to make a run. So, I mean, if he goes out and gets 40, obviously they might beat NLMB. But I think NLMB is a very well-rounded team going into the playoffs. They won 6 games, and I think they kind of cruise in this one.
Connor, NLMB, Get Money. This is probably the hardest one, or one of the 2 hard ones.
Yeah, KD would have to go on a Jason Tatum type role there in the playoffs to carry this team, right?
So be the second option. I don't think that would work.
We'll get into that another time, but yeah, no, NLMB, man, that's a great team that I think they're the 3 seed, and I really do genuinely think they're the 3rd best team in the league. I think they're right where they belong. And with that being said, I'm going to pick them to beat Get Money here. It is no disrespect to Get Money. They know I love them. They're probably going to be very offended that I'm not rocking with them here in the first round. It's really just a credit to how good Tyron is. That's the reason why I got to go against him here. He's so pivotal for that team. Not just, and it's good that I love the fact that Tyron shows up to all these games and tries to, be that mental guy that keep everybody focused as the game goes on. A lot of respect for that. I'm sure he could be doing other things on this Thursday night, but he's there for his boys. And I really love those. I love that team. They've been They've been in the championship. Their last 2 years. I think they're both years they've been in the league, right? Both seasons they've been in the league. But NLMB, man, they just got a little bit too much. I'm gonna go with the 3 seed to beat the 6 in this matchup.
Love it, love it, love it. The next matchup, this should be an easy one. Yagaville Team YOLO. I'm assuming we all got Yaga. Anyone want to take YOLO?
YOLO by 5. No,
Yeah.
but
And we're
Yaga should roll.
yeah, I think they'll roll. They're going to take it out on YOLO. And then the next one, I'll make another easy one. Flint FD Ballers. Anyone? Speak now or forever hold your peace. FD Ballers, Flint? Yep.
I feel bad for these guys. I feel like the
Yeah.
Yagaville and Flint should have just had a bye and let YOLO and FD Ballers kind of ball it out.
I like that idea.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Maybe like a little consolation game for like
Yeah.
who's not the last team in the league. Like that would be a
Yeah.
fun little matchup for those guys.
I agree. Good idea by our idea guy, Chris Rudzinski. Our new podcast, Ideas with Chris, will be out later this week, so tune in. I'm kidding. No one wants to hear that. But we're moving on to the next game. This is a good game, and what we do want to hear from Chris is who he has in Run TMC Lord's Army. And I think I know who he has, but, I mean, Chris, this is a big playoff game.
If this game, I mean, obviously, I want to pick against Run TMC. But I Lord's Army is gonna have to play the way they just played this past week, or else they don't really have a chance. Because obviously Reggie isn't gonna go out without a fight. We've seen it over and over again. I could see Reggie giving him a 40 ball and kind of winning this game. But obviously, like I was saying, it comes down to for both teams. Everybody's got to show up. I'd say whoever has the full team will win this game because we've seen it before. Guys, a lot of guys don't really care if it's the playoffs or not, and if they got something to do, they're not going to be there. But probably the best matchup of the first round, I would say. Obviously, it's the 4 and 5 matchup.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm going to go with Run TMC just because of Reggie. I want Lord's Army to kind of go on a little underdog run because they haven't played the way they're supposed to most of the season. But I'll pick Run TMC.
I like that. Yeah, Lord's Army, very easy to root for. It's like experience versus the new team. Connor, Lord's Army TMC.
I'm gonna tell you this: we have an incoming legacy game. No pun intended with legacy leagues. We have a legacy game for Reggie Stewart coming up here. Y'all gotta watch that post game interview I just had with Lord's Army. They were calling him Reginald. All right, they were calling him Reginald, and as a Braves fan, it immediately brought me back to when Chipper Jones would play the Mets, and all the fans would call him Larry, Larry. And we all know, we're all baseball guys here on the pod. We all know how Chipper Jones did against the Mets in his career. Let's just say that he has a son named Shea for how much damage he did in that stadium. So there's something about when you call somebody by their full government name that brings the best out of a guy. And I think if Reggie Stewart catches any clips of that interview, he's going to say, okay, bet. So I really love the energy that both these teams are going to bring into this game. And shout out Lord's Army, man. They're a fun team, and they're not afraid to come after the big dog, right? So that's what you got to love about them and talking their shit, saying, come on, Reggie, let's go. So I'm going to ride with Chris on this one, though. I think Lord's Army is a better team. I'll be honest with you. I think top to bottom, they have more talent on their team. But I think Run TMC has the best player in the game. And I'm going to bet on Reggie Stewart to have one of those classic 40-plus point games. He's going to hit damn near double-digit threes. He's going to do it at an efficient rate. He's going to snag those 10 rebounds. And we were talking about it. Where's Eric Singleton? Eric Singleton, I would bet you Eric Singleton is going to show up for this game. And a lot of these guys, these veterans in the league, they listen, they probably figured we're going to be in the middle of the pack. We're going to be a 3 seed or a 4 seed. I don't have to show up to all these regular season games. Got to get enough under my belt so I'm eligible to play, and I have a feeling that they're going to have their bodies there for the playoffs. So I got Run TMC in this one in a close matchup. I'll say Run TMC edges out by 5 points in this one.
It's a good game. Now's the moment of truth, boys. Lock in. I'm going to ask you your finals pick. And you can do both teams or just who wins. But I got Flint in finals, and I got Flint taking the dub. You know what it is. That's what we do. I just think Flint has too much. I think their ball movement, their team mentality, and just the way Bizzuto's shooting this year, I just think it's going to be too much for the Yaga boys. But, they've proved me wrong before, and maybe they will again. But shout out my boys at Flint Nation. It's what we do. But I got Flint Yaga. I can't see any other finals. If the path got set up perfectly with them being the 1 and the 2, and barring something crazy, I just think they're going to be in it. Chris, who you got as your champ?
It'll be Yagaville and Flint in the finals, unless Run TMC. It's set up the same way where Run TMC upset Flint in Winter 19, where Reggie had 31 points and 16 rebounds against Flint in the semifinals and sent home an undefeated Flint Tropics team. There were some extracurricular activities in that game that we won't get into. I remember a video I got from Pratt of Greg on the sideline laughing about how Flint lost. I don't see that happening this time. I just had to bring it up for a little history. But in the rematch, I'm gonna stick with my guys, kind of like my family from Connecticut. I'm gonna stick with Mike and Pratt, and I think they'll get it done in the rematch. I think the championship will bring a different energy. I think regular season you could kind of fall asleep, and I mean at times, obviously I think they slept on Flint a little bit. I think Mike Davis is 5-0 in the finals. I think if they get there, I think Mike will go for his 6th ring for the Michael Jordan. I think he'll retire, and I think that'll be the last you see of Mike and Pratt in Legacy Leagues.
Damn, someone called Disney and make that movie. Who do you think? Hold up, quick. Who do you think would play Mike and Pratt in the movie? I'm thinking maybe like would be a good Mike Davis. I don't know, but hey, I'm rambling. I'm rambling. Connor, the moment of truth. Your champion. Connor is our expert. He's always usually right. You're locking it in now.
Yeah, I am usually right. We saw last year. Remember this famous hat? I was right about that. I'm good at pretty much picking
He
these.
likes the refs, is what he does.
Man, I got Flint. I already made my pick on the pod a few weeks ago when I was on here. I'm not going to switch up now. I look like a loser if I did. I love Yaga, and Chris knows, man. I was always rocking with these boys, and they're part of the reason why I have such a good track record. All those little trophies on the back of Pratt and Mike's jerseys, a lot of those I accurately predicted. Flint did break my perfect streak, so I got to see if I can get back. They owe me something, right? So Flint owes me something. They owe me a ring here, so I'm gonna get on Flint for the bandwagon on this season here, man. And I respect what Chris is saying, and I know for a fact. Pratt, I love Pratt. Chris Sexton said, Pratt is studying the film. Adjustments are being made. Watch out, rematch. And I love that. They're taking it seriously. This game means something to Yaga, and I'm very intrigued for the matchup. But at the same time, as somebody who loves the game of basketball, I was watching this matchup break down in front of my own eyes, and I couldn't figure out exactly what Yaga can do to stop Matt Feng. If you can't guard him one-on-one, I'm very intrigued as to how they're gonna do this. It's gonna be an individual performance from one of the players on Yaga who's gonna take that assignment. I know Chris will let you go in a second on the response here, but there's gonna have to be somebody that steps up and breaks down Matt Fink's game on offense because you cannot double this guy. He has got way too good a vision to double him. He will find the open guys. He will get that. You mentioned 33, Greg, earlier in the pod. That kid's a backdoor machine, and he's huge. He is very strong. If you give him a head of steam, and if you leave him, he's gonna throw a dunk down on somebody. You can't leave Mike. You can't leave Quan. Who are you leaving open? So they're gonna have to stop Matt one-on-one and force him, to miss shots because otherwise, I just don't see any adjustments that can truly be made to slow down that kid's game. What an unbelievable player, unbelievable season. I got Flint in this matchup.
Let's hear it, Chris.
I don't think you stop him. I think the way to beat this team is I think you have to keep guys and everybody else. So it could kind of take away from him being able to bail himself out and throw it out to Bizzuto for a 3 instead of just watching. I think Eric Langston was a big missing piece. I think that's a huge body in the middle of the paint. And he's not going to go out. It's not going to be a 20-point game, even if Flint wins. I think it'll be closer. You know what I mean? I don't see it unless Flint goes up and Yaga gives up at the end or something. Or I don't see Yaga beating them by 20. I think it'll come down to the end. Maybe a signature Mike Davis buzzer beater to win the championship. Never know.
Make the movie.
But I see it. I see Mike going out with 6 rings. I don't see this being the end. And I think if they do lose, I think you could see a revamped Yagerville roster next season. That's just I know Pratt and these guys, and I know they're not going to want to go out with a loss. So I
Yeah,
can see them
no,
coming back.
that makes sense. And the question on everyone's mind, you can see social media buzzing, the hashtags flying, the crowd running with narratives. Was Chris the glue to this dynasty? No Chris, no rings. We'll find out this playoffs for the Legacy Leagues. Me, Greg Horne, 3-time champ, Chris Rudzinski, former assist record. Put some respect on his name. The kid can throw some dimes. And we got Connor. Really quick, Super Bowl champs. I just want to hear who's winning. Chris and then Connor.
The refs.
I knew it. Connor, who we got?
Yeah, Chris, that's such a backpedal. That is so wild. I can't get over that. Chris was
Eagles
talking
by
a lot
40.
Nah. Chris was talking a lot of smack about Eagles, and I said, you better go on record with that pick on the pod this week. And he says the refs, the ultimate cop out. Listen,
Wow.
just to be clear, I don't know if y'all can see, I got the Steelers stuff in the back. I'm a Steelers fan. I don't
He's
even
not.
the reason why I have this hat is a long story. We don't have enough time to get into on the pod. But I got this like during the Alex Smith era, and I wasn't even a Chiefs fan. I was at a ski resort, and my buddy, I had no hat, and my buddy threw me this hat because he had it in the back of his car, and I've had it for like the last 12 years. But I'm a big Mahomes guy, always been a big Mahomes guy, and I love that kid. I want to witness greatness. Chris is obviously a huge Pats fan, and I've been telling him that Mahomes is overtaking that legacy as the GOAT. So it's going to be a short-lived GOAT legacy for Tom Brady. And it starts right here with a three-peat that's never been done before. Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs are taking this game. Man, this is going to be like really, really bad content for me if they don't win this. Like, I'm going to get killed. But I'm standing on business, baby. Let's go, Chiefs.
That story about the hat's a lie. He bought that 4 years ago.
No, it's not.
He sent it in the chat. I know it is. There's a lot of extracurricular rated mature stuff that he likes the Chiefs. We won't get into that. But it
Yeah,
should be
we
good.
won't. But
I just hope, you know what I hope for? I think all three of us hope for. I hope it's a great game.
yeah, I agree.
I don't want to see a blowout. I don't want to see some
Yeah.
kind of controversial call. If the Chiefs win, I just want them to win. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear all off season about how it was some BS and how all these people cry.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear Travis Kelce sing a song on the podium.
Speaking of GOATs, there's Mike Davis could solidify himself as a Legacy League's 6-time ring GOAT. Pat Mahomes could get the three-peat and put his mark on his route to being the GOAT. We'll see. Just like the Legacy League's chip. But for now, the GOAT of Legacy Leagues are me and Connor. And for me, Greg Horne, for Tom Brady's #1 fan and 3-time champ, Chris Rudzinski, and for Connor Sauer, the host of the Weekly Rebound and just the king. You heard it. You heard his finals pick. Put it in Vegas. It was a pleasure doing the post-game show with you boys. Peace.